Ma yane Mavis Zupork Ndi Nkomo were a research analyst with CDD na yenje some details and fa adwuma womo no ho. Mavis, good morning.
Good morning and good morning to your listeners.
Na anopa ebom to say.
Pacho announcing.
You could come kakaka Mavis, but that's so bisa me. Mavis, adwuma mo ye fa corruption perception. Our man we say some to do with governance and ba. I didn't any more say what is driving this agenda?
Right. So Afrobarometer started in 1999. And Butayani Minan say, my tree is not good, so I will mix some pan.
It's fine, blend it. It's fine. It's fine.
But I Minan say, Matima for almost and
okay, let's do an English conversation. Let's have an English conversation. It's fine.
Governance. So what we do is that we gather the views of citizens and hello, can you hear me?
Yes, maybe I can hear you. I think we can have the conversation in English. So it's fine. Don't worry about
because that is much better. My tree will.
It's fine. So don't worry about the tree. Let's. So I was trying to establish the motivation behind this research work.
The whole goal is to get citizens having a say in policy issues, governance issues, democracy issues, economic, social, cultural issues, even including how they feel about their quality of life. So basically, most of the findings are around experiences as well as their experiences that inform their perceptions. So since 1999, Afrobarometer started these surveys across the African countries. And so far, they have done surveys in 39 countries. And this is the 9th round of surveys. And the questions are standard, like the corruption question you are just discussing this morning. It has been asked since 1999. The questions are standard such that we are able to compare across time what people are saying and track the issue, particularly how issues are being addressed. Because if your issue is being addressed, then it will no longer be an issue, right? So it also, over time, it helps us track which are the bigger issues over time.
Now, you mentioned the discussion we were having, and I'm looking at a question, the one which has to do with corruption, because that's what a lot of people are discussing, and we're also discussing this morning. Your question is, how many of the following people do you think are involved in corruption? And then you give the area, the places, and then the people respond. But is this not too open, seeing that corruption takes different forms?
Yes. Corruption do take different forms, and you can, of course, talk about the grand corruption and then the small ones and the different acts that would lead to corruption, right? So in general, all the acts that leads to corruption informs people's response to these issues. So if I say, which of the following do you think is involved in a corruption act? Then we are, of course, referring to the act of corruption, all the acts. So whether it is a petty thing involving bribery, small briberies, or even small looting to bigger amounts, it's all an act of corruption. So if you ask a citizen, all these go through a citizen's mind.
Is it that in your questionnaire, you indicated these entities to your respondents, as in the presidency, the Ghana police, and the rest of them, for them to respond, or they freely said that, oh, I think Ghana police is first corrupt, and then the presidency second? How did you do it?
So we do list the institutions.
You listed the institutions?
We listed the institutions, but like the question do rightly say, you have the option of you haven't heard enough to say about them, or you have heard enough to be able to say if you feel they have been involved in the act of corruption. So the responses are having heard enough, and none of them, some of them, most of them, and all of them. And the findings that we have shown is for some of them, as in the slides, and for most of them and all of them. And you would notice that the percentages is almost close to above. Most of them are above 80, right? So if you the least is even above 70. So if you look at it, majority of Ghanaians say that all the underlisted institutions are either all are involved in corruption, or some of them are involved in corruption.
Well, would one therefore be fair to say that the outcome would be that of a prejudiced one, seeing that your institution already had provided institutions that you feel may be captured as being corrupt? The reason why I'm asking so is that in one other report, you find that the Lands Commission is topping it all. Ghana Police was somewhere, where was Ghana Police in the other report? I think it was 3, 4 or something, as much as the judiciary also featured. And so, does it not give it a prejudiced outcome?
So if you look at the goal of Afrobarometer is to look at democracy, governance, and socioeconomic issues, right? So if you look at what are the institutions that make up a democratic governance state, all these in one way or another contribute to us being a democracy, and also contribute to public services. So we list, of course, the list may not be exhaustive, but we list the public institutions there. So if you take tax officials, they are to generate the revenue, the national revenue for the country. If you take parliament, it's to represent the people and make laws for us. If you take the office of the presidency, that is our engine room, right? If you take the police, it's to provide security for us. If you take the civil servants, they cut across all the nations in the various departments, even including the Lands Commission that you are talking about here, to serve the people.